Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call our meeting to order, and we'll start with an invocation. And a little better. Thank you. I'd like to call our meeting to order. We'll start with invocation. Commissioner Hutchinson, would you lead us in invocation? And Commissioner Williams with the pledge, sir. Please rise.
Bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to make decisions in a community and further strengthen our lives. We just ask that you give us all wisdom to make decisions that are fair and equitable for all. We just pray that everyone understands the meaning of community, and not everyone can be right at all times, but we can proceed forward with good decisions. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please turn and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. All right, we'll start with a special presentation from our police department. We've got a swear-in and a promotion, and Deputy Police Chief Mullins, would you take it away, sir?
Good evening. Where's Keenan? Keenan, where are you? Okay, come on over. Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Manager. Tonight we're here to swear in new police officer Keenan Morris. Keenan was born in Melbourne, Florida, and has lived most of his life in the Space Coast area. His wife and partner of 10 years, Chelsea, is here with us tonight, as are his parents, Jeff and Tasha, who live in Melbourne. His grandparents, Jim and Monica, are also present, and they've been 25-year Cocoa Beach residents as well. Keenan spent his earlier years working in elder care facilities before eventually transitioning to work with dementia and Alzheimer's patients. He started with the Cocoa Beach Police Department in 2019 as a public safety telecommunication officer or dispatcher, and eventually moved up to be a training officer in our comm center. He then decided to pursue a career in law enforcement due to its dynamic nature and his desire to help people. He's also a CPR and first aid instructor and spends his free time teaching at his parents' business. He's also, a fun fact about Keenan is that he enjoys aviation and is an FAA drone pilot. Interesting. Which we could use actually soon. So something that we've started to do recently is we think it's important to read the Code of Ethics to everybody. Every time we swear in a new officer, it may sound redundant, but it's not to us, and it's important that each of you hear it, and every time we do it so you can hold us accountable and we can hold ourselves accountable. So if you'll indulge me for a few quick moments, I'm going to read this off, and then we're going to swear Keenan in, and his wife Chelsea will come and pin him. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all. Maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule. You know about that. Develop self-restraint and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life. I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations of my department. Whenever I see or hear of a confidential nature or that is confided in me in my official capacity will be kept ever secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the laws courteously and appropriately without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held as long as I am true to the ethics of the police service. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Please raise your right hand for me. And Chelsea, where are you? Come on up. Okay, this is for you, like we practiced. Okay? Okay. As soon as I do this. You ready?
Yes, sir.
On my honor,
On my honor.
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always
I will always
have the courage to uphold
have the courage to uphold
myself and fellow officers
myself and fellow officers
accountable for our actions.
accountable for our actions.
I will always support
I will always support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Florida.
and the state of Florida.
I will, in all respects,
I will, in all respects,
observe and uphold
observe and uphold
the provisions
the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and ordinances
and ordinances
of the City of Cocoa Beach,
of the City of Cocoa Beach,
and will faithfully
and will faithfully
discharge the duties of police officer
discharge the duties of police officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Good enough. Push it through. There you go. I'm not going to make him say anything.
Wes, can we have his parents and his grandparents come up for a picture?
Oh, yes, they can come up for, yes, please. Come on up. So you didn't think you'd be called up, did you, Dad? That's great.
Are you gonna take the picture, Karen? Oh,
I got Brady's on.
We got it, we got it.
okay.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Keenan. All right, I got one more. One more. Major Joe Versace, please. All right, so we just promoted several folks. Joe is one of them. We'll have our newly promoted corporals up here before you at some point in the near future. But we just promoted Joe, appointed Joe from lieutenant to major. So he serves alongside Major Kewen as the crux of our command staff for our police department now. So he's the one that you guys call whenever there's a problem from here on out, not me or not Major Kewen. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Joe just very quickly, and we're going to have his wife Skylar up here at some point, right, to do a badge pinning. Come on up. Who has the badge? Do you have the badge? Okay, she has the badge. Okay.
dropped it on the floor and scratched
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to swear you in too, again. Yep, I'm going to do it again. Okay. So Joe began his career with the Cocoa Beach Police Department in 2013. During his time with the department, he's worked as a patrol officer, field training officer, detective, investigation division corporal, patrol sergeant, staff and administrative services lieutenant, and patrol lieutenant. During his time in these roles, he's obtained a bachelor's degree in public administration, served as an agency armorer, maintaining our issued weapons, and also trained members of the department as a Florida Department of Law Enforcement and National Rifle Association firearms instructor. In June, Joseph was promoted to the rank of major over the patrol division, which encompasses the patrol operations, parking enforcement, beach rangers, and code enforcement. He's here with his wife Skylar, not here with Mac, she's not here, but Madison, Isabella, and Joey are here also. I just wrote this last minute because it was something that I wanted to, it was on my head as well. Joe was a natural born leader who has earned the respect of our law enforcement team through nothing short of hard work and dedication to the department and to this community. Perhaps Joe's best quality is that he's one of the most dedicated fathers I've ever met as well. So Joe and Major Kewen are two leaders who will continue to lead our team into the future. So congratulations. Thank you. All right. You want to take a photo, everybody? Come on.
Turn around. Right there. Where you're at. We'll Photoshop Mackenzie in.
All right. Awesome. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Mullins, and congrats. Next, another presentation, we'd like to recognize the Cocoa Beach Aquatic Center, Cocoa Beach Lifeguards, and Public Safety Departments for their life-saving efforts of a 9-year-old boy on June 16, 2023. City Manager Robin Hayes. Or
Leisure Services.
Leisure
Director.
Services.
Larry McLean.
We're here this evening to recognize three of my employees: my pool manager, Kara Potter, my assistant pool manager, Miranda John, who is not here tonight, and my assistant leisure service director, Andrea Segara. So come on up before I talk about y'all. We're here to recognize the exceptional service and courageous actions as a first responder during a critical incident occurring on the morning of June 16th. I'm sure you all heard of it, where you had your awareness and responsive actions to the emergency situation of a 9-year-old boy who experienced a medical emergency while underwater. And I gotta say that, Kara, she normally doesn't go on stand, but that day she happened to be on stand. And I mean, it was not a normal emergency. This child had a medical emergency, which there wasn't any flopping around, so you couldn't even tell. But she was aware enough to see that there was something wrong and went into action right away. Through your quick thinking and decisive response and adherence to rigorous life-saving training, you successfully performed the duties of a first responder. Your efforts were instrumental in rescuing and responding a responsive child, and administering life-saving procedure and ensuring the proper medical attention was received. I know, especially Kara, she goes through at least once a month. She has training with her lifeguards. So, I mean, this is one example where she led by example. She actually led by example, and it wasn't just her, it was an assistant manager, it was all her guards. They all came into play to save this young child's life. The City of Cocoa Beach want to recommend for unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of our residents and visitors. Your exemplary performance during the critical incident exemplifies the highest standards of professionalism and dedication to public safety. But not only do I want to recognize my pool staff, but I also want to recognize my assistant director also. Because on that day, we had about 100 kids there at the pool. About 100 kids. So you can imagine when this happened, it was chaos. And her ability to calm things down, to call parents, to get these kids under control was absolutely awesome, absolutely awesome. And it wasn't just at that time, it continued through the whole day. Through the whole day, she had to be on site. I mean, when they called me, they were both in tears. They were both in tears, but what a job they both did. It shows that training does work, and the training that I know Kara has done, and what Andy had did for that day was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. So on behalf of the City of Cocoa Beach, we express our deepest gratitude and present you with a service award recognizing your exceptional service to Cocoa Beach as a first responder. Your selfless actions and a positive outcome achieved served as inspiration to us all. And the best thing about this, a 9-year-old child, life was saved. That, we talk about teamwork, and I tell you, teamwork was on full display that day. not only by my staff, but also by the police department, the fire department, City Hall. Everybody responded within minutes to help with that situation. So it was actually, we talk about teamwork, but it was in full effect that day, full respect. I mean, we had everybody in City Hall coming down within minutes to help out. And then, once again, a 9-year-old child was saved.
Okay, I'm just gonna make this short and sweet, but I did write something for Kara and Miranda. It's hard for me to put into words together to show how appreciative I am of you, Kara Potter and Miranda Johns. My words alone cannot convey the depth of gratitude I have for you both. You're shining examples of what a true hero is. Thank you for demonstrating remarkable courage, compassion, and dedication to the Aquatic Center. Next time you guys visit the pool, I hope you commend them on their services and training. Once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your heroism will remain etched in my heart forever. Thank you.
Mayor, may I ask the city manager a question?
You may.
For these folks that this occurred with and that made this life-saving effort, can you out of your city manager's discretionary budget, buy a takeout lunch for all those folks on a day when they're gonna be there?
Of course, yes, sir.
All right,
Sir, be glad to.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, moving right along, need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Public comments on any items not on the agenda. Full house, your chance, 3 minutes of fame. Anyone?
Here for the agenda.
All right, we'll get right to the agenda. Staff reports.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
All right. City Attorney?
Nothing, sir.
All right. City Commission, Vice Mayor Capizzi?
Nothing.
Mr. Willis?
I have nothing today.
All right. Mr. Williams?
I'll pass.
Mr. Hutchinson?
I'll say something.
Thank you.
Rick Mold. So I just had a thought as we're going into budget season, just be mindful. I know affordable housing is a discussion point, and I think we might be putting pressure on that because a lot of those are probably not homestead properties. So with the demonstration you had showing the shielded gains, the folks looking for affordable housing are going to feel that. So be mindful of that. And that's it.
Thank you. Just two quick things. One, met the new general at the Patrick Space Force Base. I'm hoping we have a better relation than we had prior. Looks like they're going to be a little more engaged with the community. So looking forward to that. And second, in speaking with our fire department, there has been an inordinate amount of rip currents. We've had 8 near drownings in the last 3 months, 2 fatalities. So just be aware, there's a lot of shifting sandbars out there. I mean, those of us that surf know it's the ocean's not a swimming pool. It is very dangerous. And if you're not familiar with the ocean, you need to swim near a lifeguard. Even when it looks relatively calm, you need to be aware of rip currents. So thank you. City Attorney, consent agenda.
Okay, this is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the June 15, 2023 Commission meeting minutes. Representative, City Clerk Department, recommendation approved. Item 2, approve a 1-year memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Cocoa Beach and the City of Cape Canaveral to share the cost of the School Resource Officer, SRO, assigned to Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High School for the 2023-2024 school year. The cost of the SRO for 190 days is $185,530. The school board share of funding is $137,000. The City of Cocoa Beach and the City of Cape Canaveral cost share the remaining amount based on student enrollment. The City of Cocoa Beach share of the funding is 77%, $34,417, and the City of Cape Canaveral share of the funding is 23%, $11,113. This is a budgeted amount. Representative Wes Mullins, Deputy Police Chief, recommendation approved. Item 3, confirm the following commission meeting changes. A, schedule the July 27, 2023 special meeting at 6 p.m. to discuss the City Hall and cultural green space projects to include project costs, funding, and schedule. B, hold the next regularly scheduled meeting of August 3rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. Representative Robin R. Hayes, City Manager, recommendation approved. Item 4, execute Amendment 2 to the Save Our Indian River Lagoon Project cost share funding interlocal agreement for the Cocoa Beach Golf Muck Dredging Capping Project, allowing more flexibility in reimbursement request amounts within the agreement. This project is fully funded by the Save Our Indian River Lagoon Project Plan and state appropriations. Representative Walker Dawson, Stormwater Utility Manager, recommendation approved. Item 5, request to proceed with the development of 2 grant agreements with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection provided through the state of Florida appropriations. The grant agreements will be presented to the City Commission in October 2023. The project will improve water quality in the Banana River. A, $1,250,000 for the renovations of Cocoa Beach Bicentennial Park. The funding is a cost reimbursement grant. This project consists of renovations of the park that include design, construction, and construction oversight. The park will be elevated to correct the flooding issue. A stormwater system will be installed. A new boat ramp will be constructed along with restroom facilities. Construction is scheduled to begin in December 2023. B, $1 million for the gravity sewer rehabilitation using cured-in-place pipe. The infrastructure improvements to the gravity sewer collection system will address the elevated infiltration and exfiltration risks to alleviate the potential for sanitary sewer overflows at manholes and pump stations, avoid capacity issues at the treatment facility resulting in efficient treatment, and the reduction of surface water discharges. Representatives Wayne Caragino, Assistant to City Manager Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation Director. Recommendation approved.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. City Attorney, item J1, please.
Okay, adopt ordinance number 1678 on second reading, public hearing and adoption. An ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, creating a new chapter 13.5 noise, providing findings of fact, providing adoption, providing for enforcement, providing means and method of determining excessive noise, providing that excessive noise is a code violation, declaring that excessive noise is a public nuisance, providing exemptions, and providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and effective date. Ordinance number 1678 will provide for the creation of a new chapter 13.5 noise and provide for clarification of the city's definition of excessive noise, outlining enforcement measures, and establishes new dates and times for enforcement related to excessive noise. Representative, City Commission, recommendation adopt.
I move to approve ordinance 1678 and include the item 15.5-38, which reads noises during times and at locations as specifically designated by resolution of the City Commission upon request to the City Commission and upon good cause shown. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We've got some cards, so I'd like to hear public comment. Joseph Wendell. If you would come up to the podium, sir, right up here. Yep, thank you. And just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Joseph Wendell. My address is 17 Greenwood Lane here in Cocoa Beach. Mr. Mayor and everyone, I know that I just have 3 minutes. I'm a stakeholder of the community. Went to high school at Merritt Island, went off to the Navy, became very overeducated, and started as an investment banker, and always wanted to get back, and it's good to be back. Apologies that I haven't become involved in the past. I feel very guilty about that. I've been back in town full-time since 2015. I have a couple of fears with the ordinance, and I think that there's just an opportunity perhaps to improve the language of it and help make it better law. Fears that I have are just those of economic and cultural vitality for our area. I think the Northern principles espoused in that and in our Constitution are obviously very well founded and very important. Even so, I think there are a couple of ways that it could be improved in the language. Certain principles that maybe have been missed, they could be acknowledged. Top of the list along the lines of economic vitality are those of small business interests. So I think it's very important that we at least indicate a concern for economic vitality, particularly for our somewhat fragile economic development desires in the downtown Cocoa Beach area. It's important that we find ways to get people to spend dollars here as visitors and to go away. That's where we get our economic surplus from, and that's kind of the most important thing for the economic vitality for our downtown Cocoa Beach area. I'm somewhat frustrated that the revitalization of our downtown Cocoa Beach area has taken so long. I've seen a kind of a stunted progress over the last 30 years or more. We need to improve its foot traffic. And by that, we need to give those small businesses that are trying to start our new economic district the tools that they need to survive, not just on weekends, but during the week. I think that said, that there are opportunities to manage this noise situation responsibly. There's an opportunity to perhaps soften the tone of the ordinance to make sure that some of these other issues are acknowledged. I do acknowledge that the entertainment district by downtown area, which is right now really the only foreseeable place for outdoor music, which the ordinance seems to target, is very small geographically. There could be opportunities to cross-reference in the ordinance the ways other laws or procedures for permitting so that those venues and small business owners know with clarity the direction that they need to turn in order to request permits or permission to conduct outdoor music venues so far, and I have not seen that in the language acknowledged. There's an opportunity to value the economic importance and cultural importance of outdoor music as entertainment. I think that in conclusion, there's an opportunity to just provide the language in the ordinance as proposed, the language of it with a little bit more finesse, so that it doesn't come across perhaps as heavy-handed. Thank you.
Continue.
I think that's my message.
Okay, thank you very much. Melissa Byron?
Melissa Byron, 1361 North Atlantic Avenue. I am full support of the noise ordinance in 1678. I think that Commissioner Hutchison put forward a very good plan that will be beneficial to the city and to the residents. Music in downtown has always existed and always been welcomed. It can exist with the adoption of this ordinance, but downtown concerts are different than music in our small businesses. Downtown concerts were not something that we had intended to be. And the people who have spoken in the past have said, well, they've done concerts in Detroit, they've done concerts in Chicago. This isn't Detroit, it's not Chicago, it's Cocoa Beach. And I think that by adopting this ordinance, you'll bring it back to the type of area and type of entertainment that Cocoa Beach does support and enjoy. Thank you.
Bren Brito?
Good evening. It's Brito. I'm here on behalf of Area 142. My address is in Melbourne. I'm an attorney. First of all, I want to say that I have to applaud Area 142 in taking notice of your proposal and abiding by it without even being enacted. They have searched out for the 500 feet, walked it, making sure that they're in compliance with the volume. However, I do agree with the previous speaker that it does need some finesse. You're opening yourself up, in my belief, for some lawsuits. It's not written in a way that I think is specific enough for enforcement. And I know this because I've done the time and I've walked the 500 feet and I've listened to the different bars and the different music, and it is going to be very difficult to enforce. However, Mr. Rose has invested a significant amount of money in Cocoa Beach. He is a resident of Cocoa Beach, and he has every intention of making Cocoa Beach work and have his business work with him. We encourage you to come out and see him. 2 of the commissioners have. I know that he's invited you, Mr. Malik, to come out and hasn't heard back from you. He'd love for you to come out and see the property. I've listened to your public comments. I've read all of the emails and your interactions with one another and the community with regard to Area 142. And I've read every noise complaint that's been made for a few years now. And I can tell you that there were other problems with the noise ordinance well before 142 came here. However, we do have a beautiful venue. We have to remember it's a large venue, and the job of that venue is to fill it with people. It is a live music venue. It is not a concert venue. They're not throwing concerts. It's live music. And I think once we all work together and make a good balance between residents and business, that we can come up with a real workable ordinance that will be there for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina Rust? You never know. Sometimes the air is very low here.
My name is Tina Rust, and I live at 26 Bougainvillea Drive in Cocoa Beach, within hearing distance of downtown if the wind's blowing the right way. I'm opposed to the ordinance, and I think it does need rewritten if you're going to pass it. Who have you asked about the noise? Other than the people who have called and complained, has anybody asked the residents of Cocoa Beach how they feel about the noise? I understand you get frequent complaints, but how many people are complaining? Is it the same 10 people every day? There's over 11,000 residents in Cocoa Beach, and it would be ashamed if 10 or 20 people get to decide that all music should stop outside at 9 o'clock. I actually did a Facebook post to one of the local Facebook pages and said, how many people who work full-time and have to go to bed for work are bothered by noise after 9 o'clock and can hear the noise after 9 o'clock? Not many people responded in Cocoa Beach, but the ones that did all said they're more bothered by the lawnmowers at 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday morning. Maybe the city should be asking these questions to more residents and not just going on the ones that are complaining. If we're going to, from the Facebook posts, most of the noise complaints are garbage collection too early, construction noises, lawn service, dogs, and apparently rockets bother some people. As we know, rockets frequently take off between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. And if you're on the beach when there's a rocket, there's cheering that occurs when the rocket takes off. So maybe that should be stopped as well. Who decided that 9 p.m. was the right time? Why not 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 7 p.m. to 6 a.m.? In the summer, it's light out until 9. Should we stop noise because it got dark? If we're going to do that, maybe at 5 or 6 o'clock during the winter would be a good idea too. I'm not a morning person. I don't like noise at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. Until Area 142 opened, the downtown was virtually a ghost town, except for some of the locals. Barely anyone under the age of 40 was ever downtown spending money. Now all of a sudden, we have younger people in downtown spending money instead of going to Cocoa Village and spending their money there. You gave Area 142 permits, and now we want to tell them, well, we're sorry we gave you permits, but now we want you to be quiet every night at 9 o'clock. How much noise do you really hear after 9 o'clock, Sunday through Thursday anyway? So for 1 or 2 nights where there might be noise past 9 o'clock, we should tell everybody, sorry, no, can't do that. We walk pretty much every evening around Cocoa Beach and rarely ever hear any noise after 9 o'clock. Did anyone ask the service workers how it's going to impact them? A lot of them probably make more tips between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. than they do all day long up to 9 p.m. I don't like reggae, hip hop, and hard rock, but I love hearing music in Cocoa Beach because it lets us know it's alive. Let's see. For the people who live in downtown, you chose to live in downtown, and I know there was no music and concerts then, but you can't expect to live in a downtown area and not have noise. I think that covers mostly everything I wanted to say, but I just wanted to keep that in mind before you vote, that maybe you should ask some other people.
Thank you. Any other public comments? No. Closes public comment. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss.
Go ahead, sir.
Are we allowed to ask anybody in the audience any questions?
Not public comments over.
Okay. All right. May I ask Mr. Mullins to come up?
Yes,
Pass
I'll ask.
Through the city manager.
DC, come on up.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
West Mullins Deputy Police Chief.
So I've talked to you quite a bit about the noise, and I was trying to figure out what the difference would be between this or what we've had in the past. To your knowledge, we've had since Area 142, we've had sound violations with fines issued
That is correct.
with our current ordinance.
That is correct.
Okay, so our current ordinance, do you believe, is it working, or do you believe it needs tweaking? Because you have to, you're the one that's gonna have to enforce this.
Yeah, I'll speak to I'm gonna answer that in a kind of a political,
Okay.
neutral way. We've had 3 ordinance violations for noise in total. They were issued April 7th, April 20th, and April 7th. And they were to 3 different businesses. 142 was one of them, but obviously there were 2 other businesses, and we haven't had any since. So I'll kind of let that be the determination. I won't give an opinion on the rest.
Were those fines a result of calls, like complaints, or were they just?
That I couldn't tell you right now.
Okay. All right. I was trying to also, not that, I don't need you up here anymore, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Why?
I heard her say that it's a live music venue, not a concert venue. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is there. I have to give 142, even though I'm still trying to figure this out, even with all you guys. I have to give 142 kudos because I really do feel like they have tried, even though they did bring Buck Cherry here, which I wish they didn't, but I assume that they had that on the books long before we probably tried to enforce this stuff. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. But I will say, within the last 3 weeks, I have noticed a great difference in the sound, and you haven't gotten any fines that I know of since then, and I want to thank you for that. I really feel like that this is not fixing the actual problem. I feel like there's more that we need to do beyond this, that this isn't quite the fix. But I understand that we need to go forward at some point because there's a deadline. I think Caroline wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wallace.
I'm still of the opinion that, I don't believe this is a fix either. I still think we need to delve into it more and take advantage of the volunteers who wanted to start the committee with all the with all the businesses downtown to come up with a solution that will work for the businesses and the city. And I think that would be more fair. This is going to create some unintended consequences that we're going to have to deal with, and probably have to open it up again and fix it, and this is premature. So I would like to try to table this and let the committee work this and come back to us with a recommendation. That's where I'm going with this, because I do not support this ordinance the way it is.
Becky, how long do we have till we have to get this passed by?
October 1st.
I would really prefer to work on this a little further if we could, and just table it, even if it's for, even just a little bit, and even just so we can. Have any of you guys actually gone and tried to see how far away something sounds from 50 feet as opposed to 500 feet, which is 1/10 of a mile, by the way, about? Today, I did my own sound research, and honestly, I'm going to be honest, I don't really think that this is going to even make that big of a difference, because at 50 feet compared to 500 feet, it is almost similar. But you did bring up a good point the other day about how will it affect some of the other businesses that haven't been getting any complaints. And that is a concern of mine. The last thing I want to do.
One business, we're thinking of.
The last thing I want to do is hurt businesses, because we might have a chip on our shoulder for, a particular business or not. So that's just my concern.
Can we make a second motion? How does?
Well, we have a first and a second on this one, so we do need to.
Unless someone wants to withdraw it, then you need to take a vote on this.
Call the question.
I did want to chime in one thing. Go right ahead. Thank you. So for those of you that don't know, I think Commissioner Williams is the gentleman that's been here the longest, but we have worked really hard, I have, for the last almost 12 years to revitalize our downtown, change our land development codes, to encourage redevelopment, to encourage bringing things to our community. It took almost a year to get outdoor dining at Heidi's. I mean, it was insane how long it took. There was a big battle about that. I believe that happened, City Clerk, I believe that was 2010. That was the whole impetus for the downtown, to encourage outdoor dining. It wasn't to encourage an outdoor concert arena. The business receipt that was approved by the proprietor of 142 clearly states you will comply with an existing noise ordinance that wasn't even codified, because that was more restrictive than the one we're proposing. So it's not like we changed the rules. You knew what the rules were going in. It was purported to be a restaurant with containers and live music. Somehow it morphed into an outdoor concert arena. That's the disconnect. We've had live music downtown for 5 decades. Never had an issue. I like live music, but when people can hear it 10 blocks away, then it becomes, you're not really being a good neighbor. And I mean, really, that band that you brought in, if I'm reading the lyrics, I can't even read them. They're so offensive. I mean, it's kind of, it's beyond disgusting. So we are in limited time. I did reach out to every one of the businesses downtown and said, you guys can control this. All you have to do is turn it down. It's that simple. We've never had an issue. Connie at the Beach Shack, 4 decades of live music, never a problem. Why is it so difficult now? It's really simple. Work with us. We have to have a tool to enforce this. And just a side note, our new city attorney, all litigation is included in her fee, so go ahead, bring it on.
What is the definition of a concert venue?
Charging admission.
charging admission?
That's my
charging-
definition.
Is there a legal definition for a concert venue?
I don't think any of our ordinances address concert venue, but I would think it would be charging admission as opposed to just having music while people buy their food or buy their drinks.
Is that tickets, cover charge? Is there a difference in charging admission? Is there like a definition of admission?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, in our code, no. The answer
There's
is
nothing
no.
about concert venues at all, right? And there's nothing about concert venues in the noise ordinances.
I believe there is, it's not an allowed use, I know, in the,
That's
in
the
that
distinction.
zoning area.
It's not allowed.
Anyway,
All right, the question's been called. All in favor?
no, roll call.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Hutcherson,
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Willis,
Nay.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Capizzi,
Aye.
Mayor Mallon.
Aye. Motion carries 4-1. City Attorney, item 2.
Okay, discuss establishing civil penalties associated with the violation of the noise ordinance. Representative Vice Mayor Keith Capizzi, recommendation, discuss.
I move to discuss, and if I get a second, take it away, Keith.
Second?
Second.
All right, so one of our main things, I think, is it really doesn't matter if we have a noise ordinance if the fine doesn't fit the crime. So, I mean, if you look at it, we have a $25 fine for a noise violation. That's basically 2 drinks. So who cares? Who cares about a $25 fine for noise? If we're going to make it stick, I believe we should do $250 for the first violation, $500 for the second, and you know, even put that in perspective. $250 is basically, you know, 2.5 good patrons. You know, $500's 5 good patrons. So it's still not a huge deal when you're talking about having 400 people at your venue, but it's still, I think, a good enough fine to make you think twice about doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing. So I would like to put a little teeth to the fine.
I would agree with you, and city manager and city attorney, the fining would be per resolution, so it could be adjusted up or down or whatever based on.
It would be by resolution,
By
yes.
resolution. So, if somebody has a beef with what Keith's talking about, I would say that maybe we should let.
Commissioner Hutchinson, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, you made a great point with the tickets that have been cited haven't happened since April. So I think there's compliance to this ordinance before it was even codified, right? So my thought was to do an iterative approach. If that didn't work, it seems to be working. Now it's codified. Do we apply these later? It's certainly an easier process.
Yeah, but the thing is, tying up code enforcement to write a $25 ticket.
It doesn't even pay for the guy to go out and do
It
it.
doesn't pay for the guy to come
But if
out.
you
But anyway, what I'm asking this commission to do is just, you know, let Keith put the item on the agenda. We're discussing it. We can discuss it further, Mayor. But if you want to put something together, work with the city manager and the city attorney to bring it back as a resolution, we can always tweak it at that point.
I just have one question for the city attorney. Isn't there a maximum per state statute?
Okay, I did some research on that. It's because of the size of the city, it's $250 for the first offense, $500 for the second offense, or any repeat offenses. And then there is a provision, you can go up to $5,000, any amount in there for something that is of irreparable harm. So, I mean, my suggestion would be to not push it at that point, but if we did get repeated violations, we could look at that.
And my second part of that, so after 3 offenses, if somebody just keeps making a business case for it and they just want to eat the fee and just continue to do this, at what point does that become a nuisance property?
It would become a nuisance property, I would say, after 3 offenses. But we might want to, if I could make a recommendation, have a resolution having the fines be $250 and then $500 thereafter. And if in fact we do run into a situation where there are repeated problems, and particularly if they get cited and continue that same day or evening or whatever, going over the sound limits, then we come back and we tweak it and talk about irreparable harm or, deem it a nuisance.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good with that.
Any public comment?
All right, so Keith, work with city manager and the city attorney on a resolution.
I'll draft it.
Okay.
My name's James Molnar. I live at 630 South Brevard. We go to the Dunes, which is just adjacent to 145, to listen to a gentleman that plays classic guitar music from the 60s and 70s. And he's outside on the patio, and the music coming from 145 is drowning him out sometimes. And they're not pumping in music to have to fill an 80,000-seat football stadium for everybody to hear. It's a small area. Just turn the volume down some. It's not that difficult.
It's really that simple.
That's about 500 feet away.
No, that's about 150 feet away.
All right.
Okay. Next, new business.
We vote on that resolution? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We did, right?
She said she was gonna work the resolution.
Thank you. All right, city attorney, new business?
Okay, new business. Item 1, execute amendment number 1 to the license agreement for the Ground Zero project, allowing the operation of utility vehicles on the beach to perform the maintenance on the life safety stations. The all-terrain vehicle, ATV, will operate in accordance with the Cocoa Beach Fire Department ATV operations standard procedure, in agreement between the city and the permittees for times of operation and maintenance activities. Rotary Representative John Alexander, City Representative Wayne Perugino, Assistant to City Manager. Recommendation approved.
Move to execute amendment 1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Caragino?
Yes, Mr. Alexander's here from the Rotary, and he'd like to get up and say a few words about the program and
By all means, thank you.
indulge him.
And these are the doers of the community.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon,
To the
Mayor.
Cocoa
Good
Beach
evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. I'd like to take a few minutes just to kind of bring the commission up to speed on a couple of projects that the Rotary Club is involved in and are working with the city in. First of all, Ground Zero. We have installed 42 Ground Zero stations in Cocoa Beach from Harding Avenue to the north to South 15th Street. Thanks to the Surfing, Evolution, and Preservation Foundation, we have received funding to continue adding Ground Zero stations to other Brevard County beaches. Cape Canaveral has been given 17 Ground Zero stations for their beaches. We are also working with other Rotary clubs in Brevard County to expand our Ground Zero network, and it looks like that's going to happen. We have had a number of drownings here. Now, I think, Mayor, you said 2, but I think if we count Mercy Park, that's 3. And that's pretty close to Cocoa Beach. We've had 11 in the county this year. And with the withdrawal of the county funding for Brevard County Lifeguard Program, we fear the drowning will continue to be a problem. Ground Zero stations have been used many, many times for life-saving events in this past year. Nationally, as you're probably all aware, there is a lifeguard shortage, which affects the county beaches and even our Cocoa Beach community swimming pool. I'm here tonight to urge you to support the amendment of the contract between the city and the Cocoa Beach Rotary Club to have the club purchase a ATV for the purpose of monitoring and repairs and inspections of the ground zero stations on the beaches of Cocoa Beach. The Cocoa Beach Rotary Club will fully fund this program through the Club Foundation account. The city will have no financial responsibility whatsoever. The Rotary Club will provide the city with a list of the approved authorized users of the ATV. These authorized users will attend any type of training that's required by the city to operate the ATV on the beaches of Cocoa Beach. Can I answer any questions on that, Beth?
Just one for your own protection. I know you're going to train your people, but should there be an incident where somebody gets
liability
hit by the
Okay. The Cocoa Beach Rotary Club carries a liability policy for anything that happens at any program that we're involved in, which has a $2 million limit. So we got that covered.
Okay. Just want to be sure you're not putting yourself out there to get the.
We got our handles good.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you, and you're doing a great job.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? What other project I want to bring you up to date on? 3 years ago, we started a Adopt a Park program in Cocoa Beach. We have 10 parks in Cocoa Beach. The Cocoa Beach Rotary Club adopted 2 parks, Cocoa Isle Park and also Cameron Barkley Rotary Park. Last Thursday morning, a work detail, and it was hot last Thursday morning, gathered at 8 o'clock in the morning to basically have volunteers complete the putting down 5 yards of ADA approved mulch in the playground area at the Cocoa Isle Park. Next month, we'll be doing the same at Cameron Barkley Park, as well as some painting and other cleaning up. The adoption program is under the direction of the City Parks and Recreation Department, and we will do what we say we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Cocoa Beach Rotary. And they're always looking for new members, so go talk to John after the meeting. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Hey, that was the easy one.
Don't worry, it's coming. City Attorney K2.
Okay, in reference to golf carts, adopt A, ordinance number 1679 on first reading, an ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending section 15-47, operation of golf carts on public roads and streets, of chapter 15 offenses of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cocoa Beach, revising provisions as to who may drive such golf carts, providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 1679, even though the thing says 1678.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. 5-0. City Attorney, item B?
Okay,
2B.
resolution number 2023-07, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending the existing golf cart boundary limit map, redesignating those areas in which golf carts may be operated within the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, and providing for an effective date. City Representative Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director, recommendation adopt.
Move to adopt resolution 2023-07.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I wish everything was this easy.
But look, Mayor, the resolution 2023-07, that means it's July, that's an average of only one resolution per month.
We're doing well. All right. City Attorney, item K3.
Okay, review and consider a proposed large-scale development site plan located at 2 North Atlantic Avenue, destination downtown parking garage, previously known as the Yen Yen Restaurant, in accordance with the requirements within the Cocoa Beach Land Development Code, Section 4-02. The proposed construction is a 77,981 square feet, 5.5 level parking garage. Owner representative, Mosh Gal, Wave Development, OG Enterprise. City Representative, Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director. Recommendation, consider.
Move to consider.
I would add to the move to consider and approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We've got lots of cards. Tanja, I'd like to hear the presentation.
Well, I really didn't have a presentation. I was just here in case you guys had
Have
additional
questions?
Yes.
All right, public comment. Josh Black. That is not Mr. Black.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Commission. My name is Kim Rosenka. I'm the attorney for the applicant. If I may start, and Josh Black is here to talk about the traffic study and to answer any questions. There's 4 of us who have put in cards, but the idea was that I would start. I do have a presentation. We have lots of documents as usual, and we're here to respond to your questions and to the public's questions. If I may, I'd like to start with some handouts. Some you may have, but these are bigger copies so you can see what we're talking about. Binder clips, compliments of my legal assistance.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Kim Rosenka with Lacey Lyons Rosenka in Rockledge, Florida. I'm here on behalf of the owner of the property, Wave Developments, LLC, and the applicant, OG Enterprises. With me today is Ashri Gal, also known as Mosh Gal, representing the owner and the developer. Andy Kerbach of Morgan and Associates, he's the engineer of record. Aaron Gase, I'm not sure I pronounced that right, I did. The project director of Finfrock, and Josh Black, the project coordinator with LTG Engineering and Planning. This is a straightforward review of a site plan under your site plan criteria. The requirements are clear under your city code of what you are to review and what should be reviewed. The city staff have reviewed all of these documents, have advised that we have complied with your code, and have recommended approval. The owner is not requesting variances, waivers, or any exceptions from the city code, as this is a permitted use in town center redevelopment zoning subdistrict. A site plan application is reviewed under your code, section 4-01. The city staff and P&Z have both recommended approval of this site plan, which is PZ-23-6. I'd like to start with what I showed you, is your parking master plan by Walker Consultants from February 19th of 2015. I entered this in support of this project and this parking garage. This master plan recommended that the city seek private development of parking structures and actually analyzed Yen Yen as a parking garage site for the city to acquire. This is on page 12. This is circle 12 on pages 10 and 15 of the partial study I provided to you. On page 12, it does show the Yen Yen at North Atlantic and Minuteman, and it also does show at 22 the site ultimately chosen by the city for the parking garage. Interestingly, it does show on page 26 the 2 different sites, and when you looked at page 31, it has the weighted matrix example where the Yen Yen site was preferred. I know Mr. Williams is very familiar with this, having been through this process. I believe Mr. Malik was as well. I show this in support because this is a private developer coming to the city to put in a parking garage at no cost to the city. The property, this has been an issue, the property currently has access to parking from Minuteman. There is three parking lots there right now. One is city-controlled, two are privately controlled. One is by way of developments. This is the access that has been used historically for these parking spaces of, I think it's about 113. There's currently a right turn sign only there, and that will stay. It will be a right turn out of this parking garage. I do have big copies for you. On the front page, there's a gold star where this project is. And this is just a Google map that I printed today in case there are questions. If there are questions about the alley, there are questions about the pedestrians crossing over the entrance, which has been done historically for many, many years. The planning board briefing, which I don't know if you have, I know you all were, two of you were present at P&Z. The planning board briefing stated that the site plan submittal does meet the requirements of section 4-01 for approval, and the briefing recommended approval. The P&Z board did vote to recommend with 3 conditions as set forth in the current agenda memo. Those 3 conditions were the applicant to meet with city staff regarding the road closures. That was done. The second was the city engineer to review the traffic study to ensure it is adequate. That was done. And additionally, Wave Developments and OG Enterprises hired LTG to conduct a traffic study, which has been provided to you, just the first 3 pages, the last set of documents. And it was a 22-page document that was submitted to the city. It was in your agenda packet, and Mr. Josh Black is here to answer any questions. The third condition was the applicant was to meet with city staff regarding enhancing pedestrian safety. That was done. All of these were confirmed in an email that is in your package at page 2, the big one here. And that was just a confirmation by your Development Services Director, Ms. McCoy, that these 3 things were done. In fact, as you see on page 3 of this packet, the pedestrian concerns that were raised at P&Z were the walkway in the first floor of the parking garage from the handicap spots. And so that is a crosswalk that was put in there on the architectural site plan prepared by FinFrock. So that was the pedestrian safety that was really at issue from Mr. Miller in his comments, as we recall them. The site plan review is on these pages, first with the architectural review page, then you have the Morgan and Associates site plan, which has all the site information data. The next one is the colored building elevations. This has caused a lot of confusion as to how this was measured. Your building height requirements is 45 feet. This building is actually at 44 feet under your code. I messed this up at P&Z. I think I have it right now. But we're measured from the crown of the road on A1A, and that elevation is 10.59. The top level of the parking garage is 54. I can't read the numbers right now. Regardless, when you subtract them, it's 44 feet. And there's been a lot of confusion about this, and it's because you're allowed 45 feet plus the 10 feet up top for accessory structures such as elevators. So that's why this is code compliant with the 45 feet. That is also shown. The next page is your ramp section. Those also show the heights. And that's where I believe it was Miss Byron thought this was a 64-foot structure. It's not. It's a 45-foot structure with the extra 10 feet when it's measured from the crown of the road on A1A at 10 plus feet. The next page, I just blew it up, those 2 site diagrams, because I couldn't read them. Obviously, I still can't read the dimensions on the building elevations. But this does show the architectural site plan, the actual car count, in case you're curious. The compact, the motorcycle, the standard, the ADA van, totaling 163 spaces. And then you also have the site information on the right side of this page from Mr. Kerbach's plan that shows all the requirements for a site plan. Shows the site address, the parcel IDs, the total site area of 0.41 acres, the zoning, the allowable maximum building height, the proposed building height of 44 feet, 10 inches, finished floor elevation, all the setbacks, which there really aren't any in this zone. The legal description, the impervious. Again, this is an existing concrete jungle that exists. Also, too, one of the reasons that this entrance is on Minuteman is because it's a lower speed limit. It's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit versus A1A, which is 35. Also, two, if you look at the ADT average daily trip counts, which is on the last, the last page of the big documents I gave you, the average daily trips on Minuteman are only 3,800, whereas the daily trips on northbound A1A is 10,500, and on southbound A1A is 8,000. Ironically, that's where the city's parking garage is on A1A southbound, and it has a much higher trip count, and also has a higher speed limit on both of the A1As, northbound and southbound. The last section of the last page is the Florida Building Code. This was raised by Mr. Miller, continues to be raised by Mr. Miller. This is regarding the ramps in the parking garage. This is Building Code 406.25 ramps. I've stricken the part that's not important. The part that is important is vehicle ramps that are utilized for vertical circulation as well as for parking shall not exceed 6.67%. We have no parking on any ramps, so this is ridiculous, redundant, not useful, and doesn't matter because we do not have parking, so that code section does not apply. Also, as to the entrance on Minuteman, again, it's an historical entrance and exit, ingress and egress. The entrance on Minuteman was requested by the former Development Services Administrator, Randy Stevenson, because he believed it was the safest ingress egress point. Also, we did not think that FDOT was going to be willing to expand that alleyway at all. And that alleyway is only 15 feet, so really you couldn't do the turnarounds that were necessary, and also there would be conflicts with people coming in and out of that garage with the businesses to the west and to the parking to the north. So these were all things discussed with Mr. Stevenson as to why Minuteman was the proper ingress and egress. There have been many traffic concerns raised. They were raised at P&Z, which resulted in the traffic study by LTG. The LTG report supported Andy Kerbox, the engineer of records, analysis that no new trips were to be created by the parking garage. And Josh Black can answer any questions you might have about that traffic study. In summary, we believe this parking garage meets your city code. We believe that it is a benefit to the city in providing additional parking for businesses and restaurants, and we request approval of this site plan. We're here to answer questions of the public, and to again ask for approval. Yes, sir.
Mont, you can answer this, or you can have your attorney answer this. So this is getting, I believe this is get approved, okay. But the building permit, with all the details and everything, has yet to be brought forward, okay? So what I would request is when you bring forth the building permit, and we won't get to chime in on it, that when people are exiting the garage on the ground level that are, it's going across the sidewalk, that you put like a big yellow sign with black letters that lights up either by a vehicle trip or one of those traffic loops that says, caution pedestrians, watch for pedestrians, warning pedestrian crossings, or something. I just think it would help with any liability you might have, any liability the city might have, for allowing this to happen, and the drivers at fault if they hit somebody. But you being the owner of the establishment and us being the city and at least we could show we did some due diligence, that big, as soon as they hit, either a little, like a garage door opener light thing that they hit when they're heading out, or, a loop in the pavement that would light that up just to kind of warn them, because we know that there's people that come to Cocoa Beach that might come in their right mind, but they might leave half in their right mind.
I will definitely consider that and incorporate it into the project, only if you give me a guarantee that you're not going to enforce no flashing lights on me. Because that's an ordinance, you're not allowed to have flashing lights.
You could have flashing lights inside your building.
No problem, it was a joke, sir.
Okay, that would be, just, I'm looking out for, we got these e-biker, these, what do they call them, mobility devices, and people aren't looking, and people walk and don't look, and just, protect everybody.
No problem, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mayor?
I got a couple questions, but I mean, not that it really matters. I didn't notice, you have an elevator?
Yes.
You do, okay, yeah. What was the maximum angle of your ramps?
Where parkings are present, no more than 6.67.
And then the one going up, I guess you have a main one going up where no?
Called a speed ramp?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's at what?
A little over 16.
Okay.
But the code that was cited is only for pedestrian and circulation, not speed ramps.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that's,
Parking and pedestrian, yeah.
from what I understand, that's all compliant with,
Yes,
with all
yes,
our rules and
100%,
regulations.
Yes. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't compliant.
Okay.
Anybody else? I just had a question regarding I don't see where the city's saying regarding the traffic engineer that we're not requiring one. Tanja or Becky or
That we're not requiring one?
for the permit?
Oh, I think Tanja, the development agreement?
We didn't do a development agreement, but it's a part of the current approval in our system. We've already made that requirement that a traffic engineer would be on the permitting of the building permit.
Okay. And then the only other thing I see is that I don't see the city, where the city agreed. I mean, every month there's an event on Minuteman, that road is closed. So, I mean, how are we dealing with that?
Well, we have a historical precedent that we close the street for Friday Fest if we use both sides of A1A, and for Rock Fest, and if the Friday Fest and the Thunder on the Beach don't fall on the third Friday, then we move it to a different Friday. But we have historical precedent for closing the streets, and we'll continue to do so. And should that become an issue in the future, I feel our attorney can defend us by knowing we have the historical precedents. And I don't think we need anything in writing.
So what's the big deal about closing the road 75 feet shorter so that he could still use the garage on that side?
Because it's right turn only out of that parking garage. So that means the whole side of the street would be open. Okay, we have a historical precedent that we close the streets for special events. We can still do that, and I'm willing to put our city attorney to task should we be challenged.
It is my legal opinion that we can continue to close the streets, because obviously we closed the streets long before the gentleman purchased that property, so he knew what he was buying.
Okay. The only other thing, frankly, I would prefer some sort of retail component on top. I would be inclined to consider something with a retail component on the top, knock a floor of parking off if that was something the applicant would consider, rather than just a parking deck.
Maybe his first proposal?
It was a location issue, and it was also exceeding our height limit. So, just my thoughts. This is my only opportunity to verbalize it.
I mean, there's two new commissioners, right? So I stated in my campaign that I would not be on board with any kind of variance unless it was 5-0. So I'm along with what Commissioner Capizzi is saying. I don't see anything legally to deny this permit, so I would support this as is, but Personally, I would like to see a retail component, but
I'd support this, but I'd much rather vote in his initial thing that has retail on the bottom and a nice bar on top. And honestly, it's 10 feet taller than what he proposed here. The bar is in the middle, you wouldn't even see it. It would look exactly the same, but but I know that's not on the table right now. But I would have to approve this because there's nothing to say no on this. No matter how much I hate the idea of it, I hate it. I'm sorry. But it's his property, and he can do what he wants to do with his property, and that's his right. And, you know, he's gonna make a lot of money doing it. And I can't fault him for that, but it's not what I wanna see in my town.
We do have some public comments, so I just want to give everybody's right to speak. Marge Schneider?
Good evening. My name is Marge Schneider. I live at 191 Seminole Lane, Cocoa Beach. The applicant presented by Destination Downtown was voted on by the Planning Board at the meeting of May 1st for recommendation to the City Commission with one dissenting vote. I was that dissenting vote, and I'm taking this opportunity to state my reasons why. I'll start by saying I believe that any recommendation by the Planning Board should be complete, not contain any ambiguities, and ensure that all issues are thoroughly reviewed and addressed. In my opinion, it was not the case because of the following. Number one, the absence of our chair, Lenny Arnold. Mr. Arnold, without doubt, has the most knowledge, experience, and history in planning board matters, and I have no doubt that would have brought a level of expertise and experience to the table which would unquestionably have benefited the process and the community in general. Two, the plan submission contained a one-page letter which was submitted by the applicant's consultant as their traffic study. I find it surprising that there was no critique by the city's police or fire departments opining on the fact that there is a side-by-side entrance and exit on Minuteman, which A, located very close to the traffic light on Minuteman and Atlantic, and could easily be affected by eastbound vehicles stacking for the red light. B, are located in one of the city's highest pedestrian traffic areas, and C, require crossing traffic lanes for many cars entering and exit. Nor apparently was the applicant asked to submit a traffic report on a potential alternate scenario that took the entrance and exit away from Minuteman and put it on perhaps Atlantic, the alley, or whatever, which would appear to eliminate the many and major problems the plan as currently envisioned creates. It is typical in many municipalities for a city or town to retain its own consultants at the expense of the applicant to review and check any and all submissions regarding any and all impacts. If Cocoa Beach does not have that requirement in effect, it would certainly benefit the city and its residents to initiate such a mandate. The simple fact is that we're getting busier. Cocoa Beach is no longer a sleepy little surf town. Our snowbird, tourist, cruise ship customer, and day trip traffic is increasing substantially. In addition, we have a new dynamic of electric bikes and scooters as well as golf carts on our sidewalks and roadways. The applicant, I think, I'm not quite sure about this, but the applicant is being awarded a height bonus to allow for a first floor wash through, which is clearly, if it's true, it's not the case. Then I'll skip that one. Okay. Every citizen knows about the decades old Cocoa Beach program of Friday Fest and special events, such as the art show, that are enjoyed and heavily attended by hundreds of residents and visitors. An integral part of these community activities is the logistics of siting the bandstand and vendor booths, which have successfully been located on Minuteman between Brevard Avenue and Atlantic Avenue. These community traditions would require that a parking structure, entrance, exit on Minuteman be blocked off for the duration of the event. I repeatedly brought that up to the applicant at the May Planning Board meeting, and after not getting an answer several times as to whether the applicant acknowledged this issue, the applicant finally stated he would close his garage if the city closed their garage. I found this to be completely unacceptable, detrimental to the quality of life of Cocoa Beach citizens, and worst of all, appears to clearly point to a possible future lawsuit. May I continue? It's just a little more. The applicant stated that it was not reasonable to hold off action because he has been processing for his approval for 6 months. I'm not sure that's true. What I do believe is actually true is that this applicant had in fact previously presented a plan, but as I recall, it was a completely different plan, and it was presented to the city commission, not the planning board, and subsequently was withdrawn by the applicant at that city commission meeting. What was presented to the planning board at the May 1st meeting was, to my knowledge, the first time this specific plan was presented to any city board, committee, or commission, a fact can easily be proven with a check of past meeting minutes. Therefore, how can one solitary meeting without the chair present possibly be sufficient to ensure that all the critical concerns raised are properly addressed? To my mind, anything less than a complete, concise review is simply not the way site plan reviews and recommendations should be handled. I can only hope that the City Commission will carefully consider the impact of the aforementioned critical items and the impacts of the plan as proposed before taking any action, or alternatively, refer the matter back to the Planning Board with the direction that they, in tandem with the applicant and his consultants, carefully conduct a full and concise site plan review that satisfactorily addresses the many and major questions that have been raised. This is a development that will have a 60-plus year impact on the city at its most important intersection. It therefore must be treated accordingly with the proper scrutiny and careful review that Cocoa Beach citizens deserve.
Andy Gerbach? Defer, okay. Melissa Byron?
Melissa Byron, Cocoa Beach. I only have one question, and Commissioner Williams, I respect what you're saying, but I still would like to know what the result of the conversation was with Development Services and the applicant concerning closing the street for the Cocoa Beach Art Show, which is, 56 years old, give or take, and Friday Fest, and any other community events that the city chooses to close the street. I would like to know what the outcome of that conversation was, because the attorney said that they had that, they satisfied all the requirements from the planning board, and that was one of them.
Mayor, if I may respond. The city attorney has told us that we have historical precedent for closing the street for special events, and that she believes that she can successfully defend us if we close the street and doesn't allow access to that parking garage for special events.
As a citizen, I would prefer not to litigate it. I prefer to have a statement from the...
No, that's not how you do it.
Oh, it is in normal life.
Mr. Gall?
Here to answer questions.
I'll ask a question.
Yes.
How many times in the past since you've owned that property have you volunteered your property to be used for free, no charge to the city?
Almost every time that either the art show or the boat races approach me, I donate it each and every time.
I think that was pretty generous of you.
Thank you.
I don't think that we should force this guy to do anything that, it's his business. We shouldn't force him to close. I think if he wants to donate his property like he's done in the past, which once you back somebody into a corner, then you make them fight. We do this to him, he's gonna fight. I'm telling you this now. If we play nice with him, we might be able to work something out in the future. It's his property, guys. I know that we closed that street down. We're talking about 75 feet. And if we can't make an exception to turn left one day out of the month for that street for him to use it, I don't understand why we have to fight over 75 feet when we could just put a barrier up and let him use his property.
Which, by the way, that's what was discussed with city staff as part of the MOT plan of the entity closing the street down. They will direct traffic left out of the parking garage to the light.
I also think that his parking garage will be a benefit to our Friday Fests, to our art shows, to any downtown thing that we have. Because now we have parking. They're not gonna be parking in your side streets. They're not gonna be parking all over every single business property that's around. I hate to say it, but your parking garage is gonna be an asset to the city. I don't like it, but I don't think that we should force him to do something when we could just close 75 feet. You guys are 75 feet.
All right, let's not get into back and forth, guys. Mike Miller?
You might be obliged to.
If you'll indulge me for a minute. July 21st, 2022, 1 year ago tomorrow, this applicant came and presented a plan to us. I was on this commission at the time, sitting in your seat. I write down notes about what I want to say in these meetings in advance, so I'm very clear about what I wanted to say. Here's what I was going to say in that meeting that I didn't have a chance to say. I'm intrigued about the idea of a rooftop restaurant or bar overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. I'm surprised no one has seized the opportunity previously. I'm not overly enthused about a parking deck occupying a prime location in our downtown. However, I believe the design satisfies a need to replace parking lost to redevelopment, yet supports walking retail in the downtown. The proposed building is creative, innovative, and unique. It is unprecedented in Cocoa Beach. As such, I believe the design merits preemptive scrutiny to avoid life safety and operational problems unique to this design, and I went through and outlined those. I won't go through them now. I never got a chance to say that because you pulled your application before we had a chance to discuss it. Why'd you give up, Moshe? You probably had the support of the commission and you would have won.
Do you want to know the honest truth? Because of the mayor and his comments on social media. It was very unethical to say to the public
Really?
how he was going to vote before he heard my case.
Come on, guys, we're not gonna do
He
this.
asked me, I answered.
I believe you had a very good idea. I would have supported that idea. I believe there are other commissioners that would have supported that idea. I wish you hadn't given up. You had a great idea. It had retail on the first floor, which is exactly what we want in the form-based code. The idea of a restaurant on the upper level was a great idea. This would have been a great asset to our city. Don't always believe what you read on social media, because it's usually not an accurate indication of what the population of Cocoa Beach believes or what's it's going to be. Mayor, would you like to express how you feel about that original plan?
Yeah. I wasn't in support of a 6-story structure. I thought the retail and a restaurant component was fine. Do it within the existing limits of our height limits. The surrounding buildings are 2 stories. To put a 6-story building there, it doesn't fit the neighborhood, and I stand by that.
I think it would have been a great asset to our city, and I'm really apologize. I'm sorry that you withdrew it. I'm sorry I didn't have an opportunity to make these comments. It did so many good things. In that plan, by the way, entrance to the parking was off of the alley, which is, in my opinion, where it should be, rather than off of Minuteman Causeway, which causes a problem. And if we are going to take this into consideration, I highly recommend the city get a consultant to review it, to look at it from our point of view, do a pedestrian count on that street and do it. I would not support that, but I think the original idea you had was like a really good idea, and I'm sorry that you abandoned it. Mayor, you can apologize to him for commenting on social media, but I think you would have won.
Any other public comments? Mr. Lose?
John Lose, 444 Dempsey Drive, Cocoa Beach. I'm a big proponent of sensible development and redevelopment, and especially in our downtown area. We need the development, we need the capital infusion so badly in the downtown area. So I'm basically, as a default position, I like development. So when I review a project, that's the lens that I look through. I like development. Let's see what you got. I view the downtown area as a very special area. It's open to everyone, but it's primarily the playground for residents and locals. Anybody can go there, but it's primarily the place that we who live here go. I spent a lot of time thinking about this project. I've had 3 dialogues directly with the applicant. I don't know how many people have talked to the applicant 3 times, but I did. Here's my thoughts on the thing. This grouping of parcels, they're very high-value lots. And I say that for very obvious reasons. They're very close to the ocean. That's what everybody is seeking. They're located in the heart of downtown. They're very large in size, which is unusual. And they have potential for ocean views. That's what every coastal town has, and that's what every patron wants. Everybody walking downtown wants an ocean view, and this lot has the potential for that. There's minimal commerce on this lot currently, but in the past, at least part of this parcel has had commerce. Historically, it's had commerce. I think the merits of this project, they're obvious. We have a parking shortage in downtown, and this project, it hits that squarely. We need parking, and this project will solve that. I like the project for that reason. That's the obvious reason. When I look deeper at this project, I can't find anything else redeemable, though. So I'm left with the thought that it solves the parking, but I don't know what else. I'm looking for more. I'm trying to find more. When I started to think about the downsides, these are my thoughts. There's almost nothing in this project for locals or residents. There's almost nothing in it for the local people. Local people are probably not going to park there. There's no proposed commerce on this site. You take your car, your scooter, your motorcycle, you put it in, and you walk away as fast as you can. I would like to see this location draw people in. I want to go there myself, but you just drop your car and go. It seems kind of cold to me. I've looked hard at the ingress and egress. We've talked extensively about that. Everybody standing up here has talked about the ingress and egress on Minuteman. May I continue? I'll be quick. It's pre-existing, but the new capacity of the garage is 163, I believe I've heard, and I think I heard it also said that the existing surface parking is 113. So 163 is 40% larger than 113, so there will be more ingress, egress. And the thing that concerns me is the ingress, egress on Minuteman. It's in the highest density walkway for pedestrians. If it was in a different location and the density of pedestrians was less, there would be less interactions, but cars and people are going to be interacting continuously. And Moshe, you could probably help me here, but even though the access is off of Minuteman, there's a spike strip there. And I think if you come in Minuteman, you can't actually get to the other surface parking. Is that correct?
No, the spikes are.
It goes the other direction.
Right.
So you come in the alleyway and you can go north or south. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is that there's 40% more ingress, egress because of the capacity of the garage, but a lot of the surface parking is coming in off the alleyway. It's not coming through Minuteman. And now we're going to force it all to come through Minuteman. So Minuteman's going to get way more volume than it's been getting, even though people are saying it's not. I think it's going to get more volume because that's how it's being designed. There's also been an ongoing discussion for many years about permanently closing Minuteman and making our downtown a walkable, friendly downtown. I don't know if that'll ever come to pass, but if we ever consider permanently closing it, not just for Friday Fests and art festivals, but permanently closing it, it seems to me there could be a potential conflict here. So anyway, in conclusion, I'm basically in support of development, and I try to find reasons to like stuff. That's my default position. I just don't see any value added in this project. I'm sorry, but I just don't see it. The lots are being extremely underdeveloped. The capacity of these lots is far greater than a parking garage. We are underutilizing these lots. And the community at large receives no benefits whatsoever from this development. So my final thought, I don't feel there's enough value in this project to go forward with it. And I know you're in a predicament because it meets compliance on everything, but there's just not enough value to go forward. It increases the congestion downtown because of the ingress egress, and we're going to have a higher volume in that access way than we currently have. We just are. And the pedestrians, it's the highest density pedestrian walkway we have is right at the face of that building. I just think that we should try to find another solution that offers commerce and maybe even, like somebody said, maybe revisit the first proposal and see if it can be tweaked, see if a compromise can be gathered. Thank you.
Mr. Gase? Okay. Mr. Zanka? She is last.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Commission. I did not mention the traffic study. I gave you the first 3 pages of it. As I said, that was a much longer report. I did want to note on page 2 of the traffic study, when you look at the average daily trips in table 2, that the average daily trips on Minuteman are indeed much less than on northbound US 1 and southbound US 1 where the city parking garages. It was the extra 3 pages.
A1A.
Pardon me?
A1A.
A1A, I'm sorry, I do that all the time. I apologize.
Cocoa Beach, not Cocoa.
Yeah, I agree. I apologize.
People make that mistake all the time.
No, it's not a mistake. It's just, I have a lot on my mind and a lot to say, but I realize that briefness would be best here. I just want
Well, you got a recorder, so I want to get it right.
I understand, thank you. Cocoa Beach. So the average daily trips are much less on Minuteman than on northbound A1A and southbound A1A. I did want to respond to just a few things. These plans were submitted to the city on August 26th of 2022. So it has been almost a year we've been in this process. There were site plan comments in November, and we've been through the process and we've been working through issues. Regarding the planning and zoning, the issue was to meet with city staff about the closing of the street. It wasn't to come to a development agreement or anything like that. And Mr. Gall has been very willing to work with the city on using his parking space for community events. And that will be discussed further. Again, as Mr. Capizzi says, if you work with people, things seem to happen better. Regarding the highest pedestrian walkway, I spoke with Mr. Gall about this, and he may be able to explain it better, but this is his property. He has sat on that corner of A1A and Minuteman on the east side, and his opinion is they walk north and south. There's not a lot of pedestrians going east and west. There's just not, because they come out of the parking and go one way or the other. There's not a lot of residents coming from the west on Minuteman going past that walkway. That's his opinion. Maybe a pedestrian count would be fine, but that's not what was requested. The traffic study was requested. So it's Mr. Gall's opinion that it's not that high of a pedestrian, and this parking lot has been here a long time without conflicts. But Mr. Gall has agreed to put up a big flashing sign inside to warn motorists of crossing pedestrians. Other than that, I would just state that we have met the code, we have staff support, and we request approval of the site plan. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 5-0. General public comment on items not discussed.
Bang that gavel.
Thank you.
Would you all stay a moment, because my question is
This was not in the,
No, I didn't sign up. My
Okay.
name's Marilyn Bolo, and I live at
this is
27 Bougainvillea Drive.
items not on the agenda, that item's
Oh, I can't
closed.
address,
Sorry.
never mind then. Can I ask you individual?
Mr. Dillon? Wait, this is agenda item L. I'm sorry, we closed public comment on item L.
Public speaking.
Okay,
L.
go ahead.
It's John Dillon, live in Cocoa Beach. Several years ago, several people here in East Osceola Lane were concerned about the safety with the speed on the road. And this petition I have right here, I'm going to try to read briefly to you, was signed or has been signed by 12 people on that street so far. The petition is to install 2 speed bumps to control the residential traffic. Roughly it says, we, the undersigned East Osceola Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, petition is being brought to the Cocoa Beach City Commissioners for resolution because previous communication of the current city manager and the Cocoa Beach Police has gone unanswered. The current speed is 20 miles per hour. There's a sign on each end of the street. East Osceola Lane is a through traffic. It has an enormous amount of traffic daily. Most of the traffic is from out-of-town visitors, construction vehicles, and delivery vehicles. Vehicles do not adhere to the speed. The average guesstimate is between 30 to 50 miles per hour on the street. This is unacceptable and dangerous. So many Airbnb people come across A1A to go to the beach. They walk with strollers, beach wagons, and children. Then the local people to the beach and with their dogs. Collectively, as a unit, this petition is respectfully request that the speed of East Osceola Lane is controlled immediately. The installation of 2 speed bumps is acceptable and welcome to be by the undersigned. It is requested the petition be addressed within 30 days from the date of this delivery, which is tonight. Research on speed bumps found that prices is reasonable and is available. Copies here will be attached with this. There's also one on McKinney Street up in No Man's Land. It's an asphalt hump, they call it there, with a photograph of here and its attachment here. From these other examples we have here, it takes about 1 hour to install all of these within an hour with 2 people to do this. The city manager told me when our office last year in May or January this year said that they've done a traffic study. So I'd like to see a copy of that emailed to me tomorrow so I can see what the status is with that traffic. I'm sure it's for the West Gate, which has nothing to do with these streets for residential. Those residential streets were designed for residential, not for load with that much.
Thank you.
And this is presentation to the city clerk. Emails will be sent to y'all tonight.
All right, any other public comments? Hearing none. Have a good night, everybody.